This training is part of Brownwood ISD's trainings for the Special Populations Department. Throughout this training, you will learn more about the ARD committee process. The ARD process is to ensure that we involve parents in decision-making for their students with disabilities. Relationships are key, and we must work together to ensure a smooth process. Special education law requires an IEP or an individual education plan for any student who receives services. The IEP is what drives the placement. In other words, the ARD does not decide the placement and then write the IEP to fit the placement. The district should always go into an ARD committee meeting in agreement with what is being recommended. Once the IEP goals and objectives are accepted at the ARD supports will be discussed, and then placement will be decided. Give careful thought to accommodations that are recommended. Always ask yourself when recommending accommodations, what does this look like in the classroom, and how am I going to collect data on it? We have identified 5 impact accommodations that we feel are high leverage in the learning process. These include chunking of assignments, note-taking assistants, graphic organizers, the use of visual aids or instructional aids, and the use of manipulatives and supplemental aids. Brownwood ISD has created a website dedicated to specially designed instruction and how we can support teachers in learning more about this process. You can locate the site from our Special Education Handbook, which is located on the Special Education District website. Accommodations must be created based on the impact of the impairment on each individual's ability to access the aid, benefits, and services of the general education environment. Accommodations should address all impacted areas of the student school environment, such as classroom, testing, state and district assessments, and behavior. Instructional accommodations are intended to reduce or eliminate the effects of the student's disability on academic tasks, but do not lower learning expectations. This can be done in presentation, response, timing or scheduling, and setting. Curricular modifications change what the student is expected to master. Modifications typically require a student to learn less material or learn material below grade level. The decision to modify is a significant one and should be driven by data and individualized for each student. ARD committees should keep in mind that using modifications may have adverse implications as students accessing below grade level content may not close achievement gaps. A student's accommodations, behavior intervention plans, and other information critical for students will be found in AWARE. Your campus special education teachers and support staff can assist you in locating these accommodations. Additionally, they are there to support you in understanding what an accommodation looks like in your classroom and can offer suggestions for documentation, accommodation use, and refusal. Remember, accommodations may be beneficial for all students. Our goal is to ensure that we document what we are providing to students to ensure that the student-specific committee members have accurate information to make informed decisions. According to state and federal law, all instructional staff, content area teachers, ancillary teachers, teachers of elective courses, and special educators must provide the accommodations identified in a student's IEP or Section 504 plan. When you consider what you need to bring to the ARD, you will need to be able to discuss academic progress in the classroom. This includes strengths and areas of weaknesses. Discussions should be data-driven and based on the student's specific information. Decisions are not based on opinion. There are certain things that must be discussed before placement can be decided. For that reason, the person who is running the ARD or facilitating the ARD will have an ARD agenda. The following is a brief explanation of what should be happening. You will discuss the student's eligibility, and a student has to be eligible to receive services. Determining the eligibility will be the first step in the ARD. If there are new assessments, they will be reviewed in this step of the process. You will then discuss the present competencies, or the PLAF. This is where the teacher comes in. What can a student do? Do you have data to support this information? You're looking at reading level, difficulties in problem solving, strengths, weaknesses, with an emphasis on the strengths because the assessment report will deal with the weaknesses. You will also look at the previous IEPs. Progress is reported here. This is where a review of the updated IEPs take place. If this is an initial placement, you will skip this step. You will then consider the new IEP or goals. Drafts of proposed IEPs are presented for review, discussion, and amendment, and then acceptance. You cannot discuss placement and services without first accepting the IEPs or the goals. Then you will look at accommodations or modifications. What will it take to make the student successful? This page of the ARD will also deal with state assessment and other standardized testing. You will then consider the least restrictive environment, or LRE. What has been provided, tried, or considered, and with what amount of success. You should know that the mandate is for general education to be the first consideration when determining where a student receives services. This is also where the committee justifies removing the student from the general education setting if appropriate, based on the IEPs or goals, accommodations, and modifications. Finally, you can discuss services. It's time to discuss what services the child needs and where they can be implemented most effectively. This will include the amount of time and place. This is also where related services are discussed if appropriate. By law, related services are those services necessary for a student to benefit from the education services. A special education teacher and a general education teacher are required members of a duly constituted ARD committee. If the ARD procedure is followed, then placement is the last thing discussed. It would be unethical and illegal for a teacher to sign and check the agree slot if the teacher is not present for the discussion regarding the IEPs or goals, the accommodations or modifications, and then finally placement. You will need to arrive at the ARD meeting on time, bring all necessary documents with you, and these may include progress reports, common assessments, report cards, attendance, etc. Keep the discussion relevant to the ARD. This is not a parent-teacher conference, and you need to save discussions not relevant to the ARD for phone calls or parent conferences. Let the evaluation person or ARD facilitator know ahead of time if you anticipate any problems or conflicts. The ARD does not specify methodology, specify personnel, and does not facilitate in-district transfers. Sometimes we say things during ARD meetings and we have good intentions, but some of the things that we say are also legally binding in an ARD meeting and can get us into a bind. Please be sure that we never say some of these sayings. Brownwood ISD has many staff members that you can reach out to in the event that you need any support specific to any students who are supported in our special education department. All BISD procedures for special education programs can be found in the handbook. Our handbook can be found on the BISD Special Education website. You will need to be logged into your BISD Google account to access the handbook. The Office of Special Populations is committed to ensuring that our parents are partners in their child's education, as well as ensuring that staff is supported and have the tools to support students with disabilities in the classroom. You can contact your campus special education staff, diagnostician, or our office for assistance.